Hi, I'm Miranda, and the book I'm going to be talking about today is called The Break by Katharina Vermette. So, who is the author? So, Katharina Vermette is a Métis writer from Winnipeg, and she's a part of the Manitoba Métis Federation, and she is a major voice in contemporary Indigenous literature. She is known for mostly her poetry, novels, children books that focus on Indigenous identity, community, and overall her lived experiences. And a lot of her work is set in Winnipeg's North End, which is an area she grew up in and continues to represent in her books. So, just a quick overview. The Break is a contemporary literary novel, and it follows a group of Indigenous women in Winnipeg. One of the main characters, Stella, who is a young mother, she witnesses a girl being assaulted near her home, and that's when the story begins to unfold through multiple perspectives. So, through different mothers, aunties, teens, and even elders who are pulled into the aftermath of this violent event, revealing community ties, intergenerational trauma, and resilience that holds them together. So why this book? So I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really an avid reader, but I genuinely really enjoyed this book when I read this in grade 12. And one of the reasons is because the chapters are very short, and this made it easier for me to read. Um, each chapter shows points of views of different characters, letting us into their personal perspectives, emotions, and struggles. And it's a style that keeps the story moving while helping the readers deeply connect with each character. So the book is unforgettable because it does what a lot of Canadian literature avoids. It names the violence Indigenous women face, but allows them to be the center of their own stories, not stereotypes or statistics. And she doesn't sensationalize trauma. She shows how a single violent moment ripples through families and communities, and how healing becomes a collective act overall. So, through the youth lens, why will teens even care about this book? So, teens will connect with this book because it speaks honestly about fear, identity, and the pressure to speak up even when you're scared. The teen characters in the books, like Emily and Phoenix, are messy, complicated, but they're real, and they struggle with belonging, friendship, family expectations, and figuring out who they are in a world that already labeled them. So, what are the pedagogical values and why does it belong in a classroom? So, the break is definitely a powerful tool for educators because it opens discussions about reconciliation, truth telling, and the current lived experiences of Indigenous communities. And it teaches students to analyze questions like how trauma can move across generations and how communities are able to rebuild after the harm they experience. And I feel like it's just a perfect example for teaching voice, narrative perspectives, and ethics of storytelling. For example, like in classrooms, it can be paired with conversations about bystander interventions, empathy, and what it means to have responsibility within a community. So, I wanted to close off this presentation with a quote that I found memorable from this book. So when Stella looks out her window and sees a girl being assaulted in the snow, she freezes. She wants to help, but her fear pins her in place. The moment her silence, her guilt becomes a spark of everything that follows. It's a scene teens won't forget because it's painfully relatable. Like, what would I do if I saw something terrifying? Would I speak up? Would I freeze? Or would I blame myself afterwards? And it's a moment that reminds us that violence doesn't just impact the victim, it can ripple outwards, affecting everyone connected to the event in ways that are painful, complex, and deeply intertwined. The break overall belongs on this syllabus because it gives teens what the best YA literature gives, not comfort, but clarity. And it helps them see their communities and themselves more honestly, and it invites them to imagine something better.